Man, how's it going out there? Thank you guys for joining here today to House of Many Waters. I'm actually here doing the stream by myself. So if you guys could please let me know how the video looks back there on your end for those that are watching online. And then also let me know if the audio is nice and clear for you guys, because I can't monitor from where I'm at. And then let's see here. Let me know how things are looking, because I'm not too sure how things are looking over there. But if you could hear me loud and clear, if it sounds okay, give me a thumbs up. Thank you, Karina, for tuning in and give me some feedback. Actually, do I look blurry? I can't even check. I'm looking at my phone here. All right. But anyway, so thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Gilbert Gamez, here with House of Many Waters, also with Church of Acts. So thank you, Ernie. Ernie's tuned in today. So welcome. Something that we're excited about, something that I definitely am excited about, things that are coming up on the horizon. As you can see, today's title is The Time of Upgrade. There's just something in the atmosphere that's been stirring in the time that we're in right now in the kingdom. And I can say personally that I really feel that even those that are watching right now are experiencing an upgrade in your life. Although sometimes it kind of feels contrary to circumstances and things that are going around you. Right now we're in a time of upgrade, and so I just want to come on here. I want to encourage you guys. Even Ryan likes my shirt. That's what I'm talking about. Kingdom Reformer. Yes. And speaking of, we got to put these shirts online where people can purchase them. We got some good merch out here. Man, so much to talk about today. So super excited. Gosh. Okay. So we are in a time of upgrade. And I want to start with this. Some of the things that are on the horizon. This coming up weekend, all right? Today's Sunday. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have something truly exciting here. And let's see if I can get this pulled up. And I don't know why the iPad is not working here. Do y'all see that? Nope, it's not coming up. Okay, why is that? I want to see. Here we go. Here we go. All right. This is what I was looking for. Right here. Kingdom in the River City. That's right. We are selling on QVC right now. That's what I'm talking about. Kingdom in the River City, March 25th, 26th, and 27th is this weekend, all right? Coming up, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Man, let me tell you, you want to join us for this conference here at Church of Acts, all right, here in San Antonio, Texas. We are going to have the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan Peña is going to be speaking, along with his sidekick, Dub Alexander, and the all-infamous, or let's just say the all-famous, Zach Shirian. Man, these guys are bringing some revelation, some understanding. Again, we're in a time of upgrade, and there's just so much that God is releasing to his people right now in this hour. So something to be excited about. There's definitely going to be fire, as I see Ryan's comment there. This is going to be super fire. If you guys ever had a chance to hear Ryan or to hear Dub, and Zach, man, the revelation understanding that these gentlemen have been receiving and walking in and just releasing is definitely a different level, or how can I say it? It's a different experience in freedom, all right? There's a different empowerment that's taking place. And so again, this conference is free. No charge, all right? We're going to live stream it. No charge, Okay, so everything's gonna be absolutely just. We just wanna deposit and release. So again, this is not an event that you want to miss. Even if you do, if you're not able to join live, you go back and you watch it and replay it and rewatch it. So again, there's no charge to show up in person, and we're going to be streaming on Pastor Peña's Pastor Peña's Facebook page. Now, the reason for that is because normally we'll probably, stream it to a private group, or we'll stream it to, let's say, the Church of Acts Facebook page or House of Many Waters Facebook page. But in this event, we want to stream it to Pastor Peña's page because it's easier to tag people and tag the speakers, all right? Because it's going to be on a personal page, and it's easier to get it across and share it. The only thing that we ask is that you share. That's it. That's all we ask, is just that you share, you receive, you get everything, but I guarantee you that there's people in your life that you want them to hear and receive from what God is pouring out over the weekend. So again, it's this coming up weekend, March the 25th, 26th, and 27th. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's going to be Friday night, and then I believe there's 3 sessions on Saturday, and then 1 session on Sunday morning. And again, that's something that you don't want to miss, something that we're looking forward to, something that we're excited about. Another thing that's coming out that actually starts tomorrow, and this is a big thing, and this is kind of where I want to take off in my message today. And Ryan said, please donate, right? Because we want to bless the people that are speaking and things like that. So not saying that like there's no charge. Again, conference is free. We just ask that just give a love offering, amen. Okay, just donate, show some love. I promise you're sowing into good ground. All right, you're sowing into good ground. But also you're making an investment in yourself. Okay, so that's a big thing. So tomorrow's the 21st. There's a special class that's going to take place. All right, let me go ahead and pull up the image on here, and let's see if this is the correct one. Kingdom Spiritual Warfare Masterclass. This is going to be so good, guys. And it starts tomorrow, Monday night, and it's going to take place for the next 3 Mondays. Again, so it's not, so tomorrow, March 21st through April the 4th, okay? Again, this is not, straight days from the 21st to the 4th. This is going to be on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Central Time, and it's going to go on for 2 hours, all right? Now, this one, there is a fee of only $59. I told you this is QVC today, right? That's what Ernie said. So the Kingdom Spiritual Warfare Masterclass, the speakers are going to be Dub Alexander and Ryan Peña, and these gentlemen are just getting downloads of just a redefining, a tearing down and building up of what Kingdom Spiritual Warfare is. And all you have to do is just go register. If you could see this here, just register online at www.kingdomspiritualwarfare.com. I promise you this is going to be content that you've never heard, unlike anything else. All right, it's going to redefine, and you're gonna experience an upgrade in your understanding. I'm telling you, it's gonna change how you pray. It's gonna change how you decree things. It's gonna change how you exercise your authority, how you exercise your dominion in the kingdom. And so we are just so excited for it. All right, I've had the let me go back to my camera here. I've had the blessing and the honor to be able to sit behind the scenes. I sit behind the computer, and being able to do the stream for Ryan and for Dub and get the connection going for the classes. And I'm gonna tell you, the things that are being shared and released in these classes are just so catapulting. That's the right word right there. it's just so there's a catapult that you experience in your life, in the things of the Spirit. There is just a major catapult, a major upgrade that takes place. And so I don't know how to emphasize it enough, or I don't know if I'm overemphasizing. I don't know if I'm even doing any justice to my description, but I'm telling you with excitement and urgency. I don't know what other words to use other than you have to get enrolled, you have to register. Even if it's a gift for somebody, get a gift for someone, right? This is a beautiful gift to give. And I mean, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, but a gift that's something that you can leave behind for the next generations is invaluable to pass on. Again, right now we're in a season, and I don't even want to say season like it's going to happen and it goes away, but we're in a time right now where there's just a tremendous upgrade in our thinking, in our understanding, and in our doing. It's an exciting time to be in. And I want to share this because when the Israelites, if you go back to the Bible, right, when the Israelites came out of Egypt and when they stepped into the promised land, okay, one of the first things that stopped happening was the manna stopped. Okay? Now this was, you talk about a total shift on how God was going to be doing things now. Moving forward, right? Because again, the Israelites were in the desert for 40 years, right? They called that the time of wandering, right? They were in the desert for 40 years wandering. And their time came, it was time to cross over into promised land. In the wandering time, remember, the people were getting manna. Manna would fall from heaven, and they would go out and they would gather the manna. Now imagine for 40 years, okay, you became the expert at gathering manna. I mean, there was nobody that could gather it like you, right? You probably had a whole team set up. You already distributed the areas and the grounds of where to go pick, right? You probably had certain, right, like you punch in, you punch out, who's next, you had shifts, right? You had methods in place. You already had this whole plan. You already had this whole structure set up on how to gather manna, right? You probably had every recipe in the book on all the different ways that and the things that you could do with manna, okay? And one day, all that is shifted because you go out to gather manna and it's no longer there. And it throws your entire system off. It throws off all your entire methods. It throws off everything that you ever knew. It throws off all your experience. Everything that you were expert at is no longer relevant for that moment and that season anymore. Am I making sense? Come on, let's go. Things shifted. The manna stopped. And I think for several of us, the way we used to do things have shifted. The things in the kingdom have now shifted. And for a brief moment, there's a sense of confusion. For a brief moment, there's a sense of what is going on here. For a brief moment, everything that you ever thought, or everything that you ever knew is now being questioned or challenged. All your experiences are now you're not sure of. Am I making sense? Things have shifted. Now, it's not a shift in making things worse. Hear me now. This is not a shift of making things worse. This is a shift in gaining new skills and gaining new ways on how to conquer territory. Listen to what I'm telling you. Because the skills of gathering manna were for the sake of just to survive. But the skills to conquer land was going to require so much more. It was going to require a different skill set, if I could say. It's going to require a different way of doing things. A different way of doing things requires a different way of thinking. I pray that I'm getting this clear and across. Different results first starts with a shift in our mindsets. And so what God is doing is upgrading everything that we've ever thought or everything that we ever knew, everything that we ever experienced, different concepts. He's uprooting. There's an uproot of lies that's taking place. For a brief moment, there's confusion, but the everlasting effect is a different empowerment. There's a different liberty that you're going to experience. There's a different realm of dominion that we're going to begin to experience. And so in our, and I'll just speak about spiritual warfare, because that's a topic that seems to be, oh man, I'm just trying to find the right words. There's going to be clarity. There's going to be clarity in terms and definitions and concepts, ideas, beliefs. There's going to be so much clarity. There's going to be a dusting off. There's going to be a realignment. There's going to be a straightening out of the things that we have embraced, of things that we have come to believe. That's on, things that's on our mind that are not part of God's mind. Okay? So watch this. When the Israelites, let's go back a little bit, because there was a time when the Israelites, when Moses was bringing the people out of Egypt, right, crossed the Red Sea, and Moses sends out 12 spies. Do you remember that story? It's not just a Sunday school story, okay? Moses sends out 12 spies, right? And their job was to go into the promised land, observe, okay, scout out the area, take some of the fruit, some of the evidence, okay, of what was to be theirs in the promised land. And they were going to come back and give a report to Moses and give a report in front of all the people. All right? Now, out of those 12, there was 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 out of the 12 came back with a report that said, we cannot go in there. They're giants. They're big. They're huge. There's big cities, fortified cities. These walls are great. I mean, and they're giant, and we look like grasshoppers in their eyes. 10 out of 12. That's an 83.33% that had a negative report. And what I'm trying to tell you is that the 10 out of the 12, the majority is not always right. Sometimes there's a thing that we believe because that's the popular belief. We believe certain things because that's been the traditional. We've always heard it. It's always been shared. That's the way it's always been understood. And so we embraced it. We embrace certain patterns of believing. We embrace certain ways of thinking. But 83% chance, or 83% believed a negative report. Let me rephrase that. 83% came back with a negative report. You know that there was roughly, let's just say for the sake of safe numbers, the Bible says that there was over 600,000 men. It didn't include the women nor the children. It just says that there was over 600,000 men that came out of Egypt, all right, and crossed the Jordan. So let's just safely say there's about 1 million people that came out of Egypt. Okay, that's a safe number, right? Because 600,000, not including women and children. So let's just say we try to include some women and children in there. So let's just say 1 million people came out of Egypt, and it only took 10 people to convince 1 million people not to go in. But there was two, though, right? We know that there was two. There was Joshua, and there was Caleb, right? The two that said, we could do it. We can go in there. We can conquer it. This is ours. God is with us. Okay. But the people said no, right? We're not going. It was better for us to die out here in the wilderness, right? And they get mad at Moses. So the people spent 40 years in the desert, okay? In Numbers, it says that they spent a year for every day that the spies were in the promised land, all right? So they were in there for 40 days, and so they stayed in the wilderness for 40 years. Now watch this. If you fast forward and you go to Joshua chapter 2, if you fast forward 40 years later, right? Because 40 years ago, they came out of Egypt. They wandered for 40 years. Now, it was time for the people of Israel, because remember, that generation had passed away, and it was time for the next generation to step into the promises. And Joshua becomes a successor to Moses in leading the people into the promised land. All right. So now Joshua's at the edge, and Joshua sends out some spies. All right. When the spies go in Joshua chapter 2, there's a lady by the name of Rahab. Let me know if y'all remember that. Raise your hand so I can see your hands out there. If you remember Rahab. Remember, so Rahab takes the spies and she hides them. You remember that? She keeps them safe. She protects them. She covers them. When they come knocking on her door, she sends the people that come looking, she sends them the other way. But if you read on Joshua chapter 2 in verse 8, there's something that she confesses. There's something that comes out from her lips, and she's declaring something. And she says, look, I know that you guys are coming for the land. Continue reading. She says, ever since we heard about what God did for you in spreading the Red Sea, ever since we got the news to our ears, and we heard about what God did for you, and that God was with you, and that you destroyed those kings. Come on. She said, there was a fear that came over us, and it gripped our hearts. Imagine the kind of fear that the people had experienced. You talk about a gripping of the heart. It was just a matter of time. She knew it was a matter of time that they're going to come to conquer this land. There's a reason why there was fortified cities. The whole purpose of this fortified city, or the purpose of these walls being built so high, was to keep them out. They were so scared of the Israelites coming in because God was with them. But 40 years prior to that, the people didn't go in because they had the wrong concepts. They had the wrong beliefs. They had the wrong ideas. They had the wrong mindsets, and it kept them from going into the promised land. When the whole time, it was the enemy who was terrified. Get that? It was the enemy that was terrified. Imagine for a moment, let's just say for time's sake, you're 40 years old, right? You're 40, and somebody tells you, you have $1 million waiting for you, right? Let's just say there's $1 million waiting for you. And then somebody comes along and says, man, that's not true. You don't have $1 million. Okay? 40 years old. Now, Fast forward 40 years, and you're 80 now. 40 years have gone by, and you're 80. And someone comes along and says, you know what? This whole time, those $1 million were yours. Can you imagine what you could have done with those $1 million 40 years ago? Can you imagine what those $1 million would have helped you do, helped you accomplish, things could have been avoided, things you could have experienced, places you could have gone? Can you imagine? But you believed a lie, and that lie kept you from so many years, not only of heartache, but it kept you from experiencing wonderful things when the whole time the $1 million was yours. And that's what happened to the people that were coming out of Israel, that their promised land was waiting for them. What I'm saying is, don't let other people's lack of faith become your lack of faith. It was all rooted on bad thinking, wrong thinking. It was embedded with a lack of believing God for what He said that was theirs. Embracing a lie. Imagine that. There was 10 out of the 12 that experienced the fear. And that fear spread like a disease. It just spread. And the people were like, nope, it was better for us to die. And the promised land was waiting for them. So I'm telling you that I'm super excited for this spiritual warfare class, Kingdom Spiritual Warfare, because there's a lot of territory. There's a lot of land that God says it's yours, but for so many years, and maybe for a long period of our lives, we have embraced and believed false thinking, false doctrine. We've embraced lies of the enemy. But I'm here to tell you that God has made available the resources to shift our way of thinking so we can begin to experience and walk. We can walk and experience what God has for us this whole time. I'm telling you. So this is something that you want to get people plugged into. You want to get them to be tuned in. You know, I was reminded in 2018, I had a dream. How many of you know that God speaks through dreams? All right. Dreams are so important in the Bible. And I mean, just last month, February, we just had Jake Bullard come out, right? And Ryan and Jake were sharing on dreams. Man, it was so good. And interpreting dreams from a kingdom lens. I mean, it just changes how we receive God's communication, how we interpret what God is saying. Man, I'm telling you, there's just a whole new level of goodness that's being experienced in the kingdom. So in 2018, I had a dream. In my dream, I walked into my living room. I'm walking into my hallway, and right off the highway in the living room, at that moment, we didn't have a green couch, but we do now. But in the dream, on the green couch, sitting right there on my couch, is Chris Valentin. I don't know if you know who Chris Valentin is, but let me tell you, I have a lot of honor and respect for Chris Valentin. And in my eyes, I acknowledge Chris Valentin as a prophet, okay? So in my dream, I walk in and I see Chris Valentin sitting on a green couch. When I had this dream, I don't have a green couch. At that time, I had a brown couch. But today, we do have a green couch. So in my dream, Chris Valentin is sitting on the couch, on the green couch. But when he's sitting there, he has a book in his hand. And he's reading this book. And I noticed that there's a luggage. When you travel, you pack all your luggage. But it was one of those old school classic luggage case. The one that you close and then you hit the lock. You like click, click, right? You lock. And I remember seeing the luggage, his carry case it was on the ground next to his feet. But what stood out to me about the luggage was that there was this white cloth material that was sticking out from around the edges, around the edges of the case. And I got that sense that, like when you're in a hurry, you're packing everything, you're packing it, and it's so stuffed that you put all your weight on it, and you're pushing all your weight to close it, and then finally when you're able to close it, just click, and you're like, right? But everything was still sticking out the edges. And so I remember seeing that suitcase there. And again, he was sitting on my couch, and he had a book in his hand. And he's and when he's reading the book, he pauses to turn the page. And as he's turning the page, he looks up and he looks at me and he smiles and he goes, "Hey." And then he just goes back to reading the book as he's finishing turning the page, and he goes back to reading the book. And I remember in the dream, when I saw Chris Valentin, I remember in my dream, I could hear my thoughts inside my dream. And in my dream, I remember thinking, what is Chris Valentin doing in my house? Out of all the places in the world that again, I honor this man as a prophet, out of all the places, international, anywhere that he could go, out of all the places in the world, he's sitting in my house on my couch. I thought, man, and I was so filled with honor, and I was so filled with like an awe about him being there. And I woke up, and in my busyness in the morning, I got up and I got busy and I left. But there was something impressing in my heart, in my spirit. And there was an invitation that was pulling on me to go after the interpretation. Like there was something that God wanted to reveal through the dream. And man, I can still feel it right now as I'm talking about it. There was a sense of this pulling on me. There's a tugging. It's kind of like if you get a hook and you hook it to somebody's skin and you pull it and you see that the skin sticking out. I could see that in the spirit. I could see that there was a hook in my spirit, and my spirit was being tugged to go chase after the interpretation. There was something that God wanted to release to me. And I remember for 3 days seeking the Lord. I was like, Lord, what is it? What is it? And when I was driving, I saw the dream clearly in the spirit. And I could see Chris Valentin's face looking at me with a smile on his face. And as I'm focused on the smile, I'm focused on Chris Valentin's face, I began to recognize this familiar smile. And I'm like, I know this smile from somewhere. And then it dawned on me. This smile, I was like, wait a minute. This wasn't Chris Valentin. It was Chris Valentin, but I was like, Lord, this was you. I said, man, this was the Lord sitting on my couch. And I was like, okay, Lord, because I'm someone that's like, give me a scripture on that, right? Give me a passage on that. And the passage that the Lord gave me was where he came in a different form. Remember when he was talking to the disciples on the road to Emmaus? Remember, he was in a different form. They didn't recognize him. And so he came in the dream, he came in a different form, but it was the Lord. And I was like, Lord, that was you. And then I heard him giggle in the spirit. I heard the Lord laugh. And he giggled. And he said, yes. He says, that was me. And I was like, my gosh. I said, Lord, why did you come as Chris Valentin? Why? And he says, because I want the body to know that right now, remember, this is 2018. He says, I want the body to know that I'm coming as the prophet. Come on, somebody. He said, I'm coming as the prophet. And I'm getting ready to turn everything that we've ever known, everything that you've ever experienced, everything that you ever saw, everything that you ever heard. I'm about to redefine the prophetic like you've never seen before. And I thought, oh my gosh, let's do it. So fast forward 2018. Okay, so in my pursuit of getting the interpretation and understanding, there's things that I saw that the Lord was doing in the spirit. And I started to see this. I saw the Lord's hand, and he had this glass, and they had water in the glass, and the glass was real clear. And he started to show me, he started pouring water on this, like a glass house, all right? It was like a transparent see-through house. And when he started to pour out the water, I could see the water running through the glass, through the walls. And wherever there was any separation or just a small crack, the water would seep and find its way and touch every area of the glass. And I started to see like every area of society being touched by the prophetic. So what God was doing, what the Lord was doing was when he was pouring that water was the prophetic spirit. I was touching everything in the house, everything that the kingdom can get to, everything that could get touched, because the Holy Spirit, right? The Holy Spirit was the water, and that the Holy Spirit was getting into everything, and I could see it, and everything that it touched, it was affecting it. It was affecting every area. The Spirit was being poured out, right? The prophetic was being poured out. There was a new essence that was touching everything. And he was coming in as a prophet. Listen to what I'm telling you. And this is what the Lord said. And I mean, there's so many things that I could share, things that I saw. For example, I started to see military chaplains. I started to see military chaplains prophesying to families about their next deployment, what the next orders were going to be, where their next move was going to take place. Chaplains were prophesying people's promotions. I mean, the prophetic spirit was flowing and touching every area that it possibly could touch. So I started to see the military chaplains prophesying. I started to see a group of superintendents all together, okay? School districts, superintendents, universities, the presidents of the universities, the conference where the presidents would come together from different schools, different education systems, that were all meeting together. And when the superintendents, they would leave from their meeting, the superintendents would go back to their schools and they would begin to prophesy over the presidents and the principals of their schools and universities. Listen to what I'm telling you. The superintendents were prophesying over principals of their schools. And then the principals would turn around and go back to their schools, and in their staff and faculty meetings, they started to prophesy over all the faculty and the staff, the teachers, all the way to, the janitors, everybody, all the administration was getting prophesied over. And then those teachers, faculty, staff, administration, they would all go back to their classrooms and they would begin to prophesy over all their students, every chair, every desk. Listen to me. They began to prophesy to all the students. I'm telling you, the water from the top was being poured down from the top to the bottom, and it was touching and affecting every area. The prophetic was coming in, and it was going to change and reshape and remold. I started to see, hear my heart on this. I started to see different denominations, all right, being invaded by the prophetic. The prophetic was being released. People were catching visions and dreams and words and just catching revelation. That it wasn't even like asking for permission to come into the congregations, into the churches. The prophetic was being released. I started to see different cultures, different and when I mean cultures, I'm not talking about like just the Hispanic culture, the African American culture. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like there's subcultures, right? Like for example, just in today, like let's just say the guys that ride motorcycles. People that ride motorcycles have a certain culture. People that ride bikes have a certain culture. People that play golf, there's a certain culture. People that play sports or they're into sports, there's a certain culture. I started to see culture, every area of culture, every subculture started to get impacted by the prophetic. Guys, this is something to be excited about because this is the Lord extending an invitation to you to partake on a major shift that has taken place in the kingdom, and everybody's invited. there's no one excluded. Amen. So it's something to get excited about. I started to see families, dads prophesying, grandfathers prophesying over the children, the fathers prophesying over the wives. I started to see the wives and the dads prophesying over their kids and their family. Man, I even saw kids prophesying over their pets. I don't know where that fits in your theology, but come on. I remember in the Old Testament, there was a donkey that started talking, all right? So I might lose my mind, but it's okay. It's all right. But there was kids were just prophesying over their pets. Like, they just loved and adored their pets. And they were like, man, you're going to live forever. And they were just like prophesying over. I mean, come on, guys. Dude, I don't know if I'm making sense, but come on. And so when I started to see all this, one of the things that really stood out to me was that people were so confused. They didn't know what to make of it, all right? Because just like when the people crossed over and the manna stopped, there was a moment of confusion of like, what is going on? What's taking place here? Because again, people started to experience and hear things, but at the same time, there was a clash of, this is what I've always heard and I've always known, but this is what I'm experiencing, and it's something totally foreign to what I've ever experienced before in my life. And so now there is a clash in understanding. There was a clash of experience. There was a clash of, where is this in the Bible? Where is this? And where does it talk about this? And I'm hearing this. And so there was a clash that started to bring confusion. And this is what the Lord, when I started to see this is what the Lord said. He said, get ready. All you prophetic generals and all you prophetic veterans, get ready for the beautiful mess. Come on, somebody. Get ready for the beautiful mess. He called it a mess, but it was beautiful. And I was like, Lord, I don't understand. I don't understand. And it's kind of like, it reminded me of like, I don't know if you've ever been in a place, at a hospital, to witness the birthing of a child. And I'm not trying to be graphic, but there's a lot of commotion. There's a lot of craziness. But when the baby is born, that is so beautiful and precious. But in that whole moment, it was a little chaotic. There was a lot of things going on. Am I making sense without being so not being ugly about things? But in God's eyes, that's a beautiful mess. What was being birthed out was much more beautiful than the process of it being birthed. Listen to me. What is being birthed out is much more beautiful than the process that's doing the birthing. And that's where a lot of us are at right now. There's some of you that are listening right now that you're in this process. The manna has stopped. What used to work before is no longer working now, right? I remember going to classes, right, when my firstborn was going to be, when my wife was pregnant with our firstborn. I remember going to classes, Le Mans and getting some training for the day of the birth, things that we have to do, things we have to look for. But you know what? When you're in that process, all that goes out the window. I don't know about you, but things that I was trained, things that I was taught to do, in that moment of the birthing, I was like, that training's gone. You know what I mean? But what came out, the beautiful birth, the beautiful mess. Guys, listen. The beautiful mess, I started to see during the presidential elections that there were so many words being declared. There were so many things. Prophets were speaking. Things were being declared and all of that. And it was like the prophetic took a large hit. The reputation of the prophetic, the reputation of the prophetic ministry, the reputation of the prophetic gift, it seemed like it all took a hit. Something was distorted, and it kind of like lost its significance. There was people that were waiting to pinpoint and say, see, this is why the prophetic. You see, this is why we don't do these things when it comes to prophecy. This is why we don't allow this. This is why we don't accept that. This is why we don't embrace this. And it gave ammunition to the critics to say, look, this is why. But God is saying, you know what? This is a beautiful mess. Because there's an upgrade of what we thought used to work no longer works. What used to be is no longer anymore. There are things shifting because there's an upgrade that's taking place. But in order for us to experience the upgrade, we have to be okay and give God permission to let go of what we've been through. We have to give God permission to go ahead and undo and deconstruct everything that we've ever thought, so that way He can go ahead and rebuild and reconstruct it again. Amen? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Man. So we are in this beautiful mess, but this is all about an upgrade. There's new skills, new language, new definition, new understanding, because there's different levels of freedom that we're about to experience. There's different levels of manifestation. The kingdom is manifesting, because remember, the kingdom is always advancing and it's always increasing. All right? So I'm telling you that this weekend coming up, actually starting tomorrow in the spiritual warfare class, let me pull that back up. In the Kingdom Spiritual Warfare Masterclass with Dub and Ryan, Monday nights for the next 3 Mondays, it's only $59. Listen to me. Man. One of the things I learned, that when the people crossed over, when the Israelites did not cross over because of 10 spies that gave a bad report, they believed the lie, and that lie became embraced by everybody else to the next generation. That whole generation was robbed of stepping into God's promises. One of the greatest things that we could ever leave to the next generation is truth that sets people free. Truth that empowers people. Truth that builds people up. What do I want to leave to my kids, to my boys who are 7 years old? He just turned 7 last week, on the 15th, actually. My 7-year-old and my 9-year-old who's about to be 10, what is one of the greatest things that I could ever leave them is truth. Truth about who God is, truth about who they are, truth about what is their inheritance, and truth about them having a purpose, and God's called them to rule and reign and to advance the kingdom. Truth to the next generation. Amen. And so I'm telling you, one of the most powerful things I ever heard was withholding truth is the same as withholding love. Listen to what I'm saying. When you withhold truth, you withhold love. Loving the next generation, loving your kids, loving your grandchildren so much that you're like, you know what, there's a truth that I need you to know and to understand and to experience. But the only way that we can pass on the truth is if we ourselves are experiencing the truth. There comes a moment in our lives as the adults, as those that are pioneering, those that are the first in our generation, those that are treading new ground. One of the most amazing things that we could do is to give God permission to undo every lie that we've ever embraced. Because I know for a fact, as a dad, I don't want anything that I've embraced that is a lie. I never want to pass that on to the next generation. I love the statement that Ryan makes. An unchecked lie in this generation becomes the truth of the next generation. An unchallenged lie in one generation becomes the truth in the next generation. So listen, there is an upgrade that's taking place right now in the kingdom. There's an upgrade taking place in your life, although you might feel like you're contrary, and although it feels like that I'm not feeling it, I'm not seeing it. Well, guess what? The manna stopped. So that's a good sign that you're stepping into the promises and that you've come into a new day. This is a new time in history. There's an upgrade. There's new skills to gain. There's new knowledge to understand. See, because that's one of the things that in Hosea, it says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. Think about it. It doesn't say my people perish because the devil is so big. It doesn't say my people perish because the devil is so powerful. No, it says my people struggle. It's difficult and it's hard. My people perish for lack of knowledge, for just not knowing. Or in other words, believing the lie. Or they're just not knowing because they didn't know the truth. Come on, somebody. So there's a lot that's taking place. There's a shift that's taking place. And I'm telling you, if you get the opportunity to enroll into the class, let me find here. If you go to www.kingdomspiritualwarfare.com, it's only $59. Get everybody this link, send them the link, go to the website, register. Remember, it's only on Monday nights from 6 to 8, okay? Only from 6 to 8 Central Time. And it's going to be for 2 hours. And I'm telling you, this is something that you don't want to miss, and you want to give everybody the opportunity to have their lives changed. So send the link to your grandma, send it to your mom, your sister, your brother, send it to your friends, your coworkers. Let them know that there is an upgrade taking place. And I have to say this. There's people that are having experiences that they need somebody to come along to give validation and to give interpretation to what they've been experiencing. They need people, let's just say Nebuchadnezzar needed Daniel to interpret what was happening, to interpret what God was declaring, to interpret what God was saying. Because there's people that although they might not believe in God, there's people that have had maybe some negative experiences in the things of the Lord, but you come along and you have this understanding. You see things and interpret things through the kingdom. That you come along and you turn what the enemy meant for evil, you can turn it around. God uses you to turn that experience around, to turn that thing that happened, that misunderstanding or that lie, and turn it around and say, this is what God is doing. And it brings so much more clarity, and it makes so much more sense, and God is going to use you to make an impact in people's future, for people's destiny. I know what I'm telling you. I believe it with all my heart. So guys, don't forget. Let me go back to the first one here. Don't forget. Where am I at? There we go. Don't forget. Kingdom in the River City. It's about to take place this coming up weekend, March 25th, 26th, and 27th, with Ryan, Dub, and Zach. I don't know if you know who Zach is or ever heard Zach share. But oh my gosh, his history and the rich history that he has in the Lord. Everything from, not just the Lord, but man, this guy was a worship leader for a mega church here in San Antonio. I'm not going to say no names, but let's just say that he led worship for, like 10, 15 years, 20 years. I don't know. I can't remember. But for such a long time, he's led worship. And it's his testimony to share. But the freedom that he has experienced in tasting God's goodness and experiencing the kingdom and the new covenant, man, guys, you got to hear. You have to hear for yourselves. And there's probably many of y'all that can relate and say, man, this guy is putting language to my experience. He is putting language, and he's actually bringing clarity on questions that I've had. He's even brought sanity to my insanity. If you see, that's what's powerful about testimony. You know that the word testimony, you know what testimony means? In the Hebrew, it actually means to do again. I don't know if you caught that. But testimony means to do it again. This is so powerful about sharing testimonies. When you release a testimony, you're actually declaring to the Lord, Lord, do that again. So when you're sharing your testimony about what God has done in your life, you're actually able to share your testimony inside, and you're declaring, God, the way you did it for me, for them, do it again. That's what's so powerful about testimony. So if you get to hear Zach, and you get to hear what he's walked through and what he's gone through, and the experiences, the freedom, the revelation, the understanding, man, the testimony, what God has done, God can do it again. So I'm telling you, you want to hear Ryan, you want to hear Dub, you want to hear Zach. Come this weekend, Church of Acts, totally free. It's going to be free in person and free online. So there's no excuse, no reason to say, I didn't get to catch it, right? Then, of course, after that, what do we have? We have this Monday starting tomorrow, all right? So I don't know if I made it clear and how urgent that I would love for you guys to be part of it. I'm telling you, you will be blessed. Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight and just hanging out and hearing my heart, and just understand that right now we're in a time of history where we are just being upgraded. Although it might seem contrary, God is inviting us to exercise muscles that probably we didn't even, guys, there's a strength inside of you that you didn't even realize you had a certain strength in you. There's things in you that you didn't even realize were in there. And God is saying you're much stronger. You're a lot more powerful than what you think you are. You're much more than just a manna gatherer. You're much more than that. You are much more than that. So guys, I'm excited for you. Please stay plugged into what God is doing, and let's continue to advance the kingdom, because it's ever increasing. There's so much more. So again, thank you for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to share and invite everybody to join in your growth, in your development, and your experiences. All right, love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Now I got to run to the back so I can end this live stream. But if you could, continue to share. All right, love you. We'll see you on, what's today, Sunday? We'll see you on Wednesday at 7:30. Stay plugged in. All right, love you. See you next time.